This is Paul Mascetta, and in this video, I want to talk to you about the most powerful weapon of influence known to man. It is, in my opinion, the one weapon that supersedes and outshines every other weapon of influence. In fact, it's so powerful that you don't even really have to do anything with it. Just simply having it causes people to admire you, pay attention to you, respect you, listen to you, and ultimately comply with you. So, what is this magic weapon? What is this magic bullet that I'm talking about? It's called authority. So, if we circle back to the greatest book ever written on influence and persuasion, the book called Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion by Dr. Robert Cialdini, first published in 1984, over 30 years ago, he identifies 6 weapons of influence, which means that through all the case studies, through all the research, through all the legwork that he did, he was able to distill every technique, every strategy, every mechanism into these 6 weapons of influence, which include reciprocity, which tells us that if we give something to someone, they will feel obliged to return the favor. So think about how you feel when you get a Christmas card in the mail from someone and you realize you didn't send one out to them. You feel obliged to return the favor. The second one is liking, which tells us that we are more likely to comply with people that we like or we want to be like. So think about the difference between a good friend of yours asking you for a favor versus somebody that you can't stand, right? Much different in how you're going to respond to those two people. Next is commitment and consistency, which tells us that as people make commitments, they tend to want to stick to them because people that don't keep their commitments are frowned upon. And people like to be consistent in their actions. So they don't like to flip-flop and do different things. They like to be consistent in their decisions and their actions. So think about how you feel when you commit to something and you tell someone you're going to do something and then you don't do it. You don't follow through on it. You feel a little bit of that cognitive dissonance in you, that uneasiness in you. The next one is called scarcity, which tells us that as something becomes less available, we tend to want it more. So think about that item that was on sale 2 days ago. You went online to buy it. Now you went back and it's not on sale anymore. Or they don't even have it in stock anymore. Your desire for that goes up. Think about when you first meet someone in the romance scene for the first time. You guys meet, you go out on a date, you hit it off, you think everything's good. Next thing you know, they're not returning your phone calls or your text messages. What happens? You tend to want that person more. That's how scarcity works. Next is social proof, which tells us that when people are unsure of what to think or what to do in a certain situation, they typically look to see what other people did in a similar situation. Your washer or dryer breaks down. You got to fix it. You want to buy a new one, but you don't know which one's the best one. So what do? You go online and you sort it out by the reviews and you read to see what other people said about the machine that you're thinking about buying. That's how social proof works. And then last, we have authority. And what authority tells us is that when people are in the presence of an authority, or even someone that they perceive to be an authority, they are more likely to comply with that person simply because they are perceived as an authority. So think about what happens when you go to the doctor. You go to the doctor, you sit down, the doctor examines you, writes you a script, sends you on your way. What do? You leave the doctor's office, you accept what the doctor said, you get the script filled, and you take your medicine, right? I mean, unless it's a life-threatening disease where you got to go get a second opinion, you're going to just listen to what the doctor tells you because the doctor is an authority. So, you think about that, it's really powerful because authority is the only weapon that doesn't really require you to do anything in order to elicit a response. So with reciprocity, you got to give something to get something. With scarcity, you got to take something away or limit things. With liking, you have to create rapport. You got to make people feel important. You got to do mirroring, matching, and all those things are good things. And if you want to become a master communicator, you should master all 6 of those things. But let's hypothetically say you couldn't for whatever reason. You didn't have the time, you just didn't want to be bothered with it, or you wanted a shortcut. You wanted the one thing that supersedes them all. You would go with authority. Because with authority, by simply having authority or being perceived as an authority, people are going to listen to and trust what you have to say. Look at celebrities. Some celebrities could be an expert in one area, yet you see them doing commercials for something completely unrelated to what they're a known expert in. It doesn't matter. Once you have authority, people believe that you have this magical type of aura about you, and they will listen to what you have to say. So the question then becomes, how do you engineer authority? How do you become an authority on whatever it is that you're selling, pitching, influencing, persuading, or communicating to other people? Well, I've discovered a 4-stage process. After 15 years of studying human communication, psychology, NLP, influence, persuasion, and studying politicians, public figures, public speakers, social media icons, high-level entrepreneurs, I've identified a 4-stage process that they go through to create authority. And so the 4-stage process works like this. The first thing you have to do is set the frame. So you have to take certain necessary steps for people to perceive you as an authority before they even interact with you. And that's very important. The second thing that you have to do is you have to engineer power, because all authority figures have power in one way or another. And the good news is that you can start with 0 power and you can use something called an active transfer of power, where you can leverage somebody else's credibility or somebody else's power to make you more powerful. Or you could use what we call implied transfers of power, which are just like testimonials or written or spoken word from people that have done business with you before or have listened to you before, and as a result have had something positive happen to them. The next step is you need to become the alpha. And so what that means is, it doesn't mean that you have to be loud and abrasive and bark at people like I do. What it means is that you just have to be that person that assumes the leadership role, that person that other people follow. At the end of the day, there are leaders and there are followers, and authorities are leaders. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to be an alpha all the time. It doesn't mean that you have to be an alpha in everything that you do, because I want you to realize something. Whether you realize it or not, you assume a different role in different areas of your life anyway. So think about that. You don't converse the same way with your high school buddies that you do with your boss. You don't talk to people the same way at a funeral that you do at a wedding. And if you do, you have very poor communication skills. So hopefully you know the difference between the two. There's a difference. Things like context and environment and social status impact the way that we communicate and the way that we carry ourselves around other people. Well, if you are selling a product, a service, an opinion, an idea, and you want to generate authority, you need to become the alpha in that area of your life. And there are different ways that you can do that, but you need to do it. And then the last thing, the last stage, is speaking the language. Speaking like an authority, communicating like an authority. The way that you speak, the way that you convey your message is ultra important when it comes to being an authority. You can't stutter step. You can't use vocal fillers like ooh, ah. You can't do things like that. You have to speak with confidence, and you have to know what you're talking about, because the minute people sense that you don't, all your credibility goes out the window. So again, the 4-stage process, very simple. Set the frame, engineer power, become the alpha, and then speak the language. Now, if you want to learn more, guess what? Coincidentally enough, I've actually created a course called The Authority Code, where I walk you through the entire 4-stage process and all the different techniques and strategies that you can do in each stage to create authority. And if you click the link in this video and purchase it through this video, I can promise you, you will get a nice discount on the product. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like it, leave a comment, and subscribe.